Trial. 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 Trial.
Okay, we're all off. Media off.
Bam! Welcome back to the Buffalo Binge. We're happy to be here with you. As always, I'm Alex, AY, also known as, with my good friend Eric. How are you, bud?
I'm awesome. How are you, man?
Doing great. Glad we're back here talking sports. We missed last week, and as always, we got to introduce our new man, Greg Halpin, putting up the production that you're seeing on the screen. Make sure you leave a like, comment, or something like that for the guy to let him know that you're enjoying what he's putting up there for you. Greg, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Had a fantastic Formula One race this morning, so it was a good way to start, and it's been a damn good weekend.
Who took it home?
Max Verstappen actually won. My boy Lando Norris, he had his second podium. He finished in third.
Norris races for who now?
McLaren.
McLaren. Okay, yeah. We were rooting for Norris last year. I remember that, but I don't dive into F1 too much.
No.
I know Graham barely even
No,
watches
not at all.
not
move.
not
So-
really. The only thing I know Lando Norris from is from streaming on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's right.
about
He
it.
is the driver who does that.
Yep,
All right.
he's funny.
He is. He is funny. As always, the show is also brought to you by Jake Makes. Make sure you go on Jake Makes on Facebook. Capes, cupcakes, and cookies. Everything you want dessert-wise. He can make it for you. He's just a little kid. All proceeds go to the local food pantry. Graham, we're back. We're talking sports. We've got a lot of news going on now in Buffalo because we haven't been here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we missed a lot of stuff.
Yep. And so I want to, ask you, where do you want to start? We got some trades that happened in the Sabres organization, the Buffalo Bills side. We got a couple signings. So whereabouts would you like to go with this conversation?
Well, I'd like to start with the Sabres,
okay.
as usual. Just 'cause,
Sure.
I mean, it's technically still hockey season,
Yep.
even though the Sabres are officially out of the playoff contention now.
Because of the loss last night. Right?
Yes, yesterday.
So that's how many years? We got
10 years in a row.
10 years in a row.
Yep.
The Sabres are out.
Streak is 10 years. That's
Now,
sad.
The real question is, do you think it's going to go on as long as the Buffalo Bills drought?
Oh, I hope not, dude. I'd murder myself, I think.
But at this point, I don't know. It could happen.
So,
but
it's crazy because they've actually been playing much, much better hockey
I agree.
over the last 10 games.
100%.
I think they're like 7-3 in their last 10 games.
Yep, 7-3.
And a couple of those are overtime losses, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they're playing the same competition.
Yes, they are.
It's the same teams they're playing. Younger crowd in Buffalo, but they're bringing it to the house.
It seems like the younger guys that have been pulled up recently, and the younger guys that have been on the team, are really able to take advantage of the opportunity that have been given to them, and try to perform at a higher level,
of course,
and have more freedom to do what they want to do.
Yeah,
I've seen it a lot with that Asplund, Middlestat, and Thompson line. It's the best 5-on-5 line the Sabres have had all year.
Maybe even last year. If you might be able to count it into last year.
I don't think I can count it into last year, but I guess they have like a 55.5 anytime they're on the ice.
That's I know we were.
Yeah.
I know I was definitely somebody who brought up Casey Middlestat's name a lot before the season even started as trade bait. Going into the trade deadline, I thought Casey Middlestat was our highest valued player that we would be able to trade, who was younger and get the most in return. So I'm glad that didn't happen, because that would have just been the same old story on a different day.
Yeah,
the Sabres trade away good talent.
Middlestat's been on fire.
He has, and he's been shooting the puck. The one thing I agree with you with is, since the youth came in, we spoke about that a little while ago when we started talking about, should the Sabres dump everything good and just go with the youth, or should they stick it out? And I think we were on the side of, let's dump it out and put the younger guys in there, because you could just tell that the mantra and the morale of the team just wasn't there for the Sabres at all. Eric Stahl, Taylor Hall. I was kind of unhappy with Lazar going myself, just because he was a fan favorite at this point. He just grinded.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, I just want to say I agree with you. I think the Sabres, since Don Granado's had a little younger of a crowd, maybe they're listening more to the head coach. Maybe Don Granado knows how to speak to their players better.
I really think a lot of it comes down to Don Granado just giving them freedom to do whatever they want.
Seriously.
He's given the defense the green light. It happened with Brandon Montour right before he was traded. He scored 2 goals.
Yep.
He was talking about, this is the kind of hockey I've wanted to play the whole time I've been in Buffalo.
Yep. And
now he's gone. We traded him for a third to Florida. Dahlin is another guy who since the streak has ended and since Kruger's been out, his game has progressively gotten better.
Yeah.
Since Granado has kind of taken the reins and been like, okay, it's my show now.
Yeah.
I have to say, dude, Granado being the guy that he is, I would not mind him being the head coach. I know we got a really small sample size, so it's a lot to like be like, okay, this guy's our guy.
But Kruger lost 18 in a row.
Right.
So to us, that's
actually, technically, Kruger didn't lose 18 in a row. He lost like 12 or 11.
Okay.
They fired him after the 11th or the 12th loss.
But I mean, Don Granado's already shown you more with a younger, youthful team than Kruger did with a more experienced, ready-to-go team.
And it brings up the question of, was the locker room just that cancerous under Ralph Kruger? Like, were there too many egos in the locker room with Stahl, with Hall, with Eichel, with Skinner, with Reinhart, Olofsson? I don't like. I'm not saying Reinhart and Olofsson are guys with egos, but like, we don't know. We're not there.
Exactly.
Like, what was going on in this locker room that entire time to where now you're trading away guys that have a pedigree in the NHL of being good, like really good players, like Stahl and Hall,
right,
and Montour now even.
I just, there's a lot of mixed confusion coming out of that, though, and I think everybody's kind of trying to guess that.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of been the talk on the radio. If anybody listens to WGR or anything like that, 550 plays Buffalo sports all day long, every day. But that's what they were talking about. They're like, every player that got traded said they loved Ralph Kruger.
Right.
Every player that's when he got fired said that they loved Ralph Kruger and it was their fault. And nobody was really putting the blame on him for anything. It was the players. So I don't know if just like the players they had just weren't gelling together. And maybe that's what you're getting at there, because
I don't know if it was that or if guys just like once you start losing, you just don't give a shit anymore.
But that
basically is what I'm saying. You
that
know what I
was
mean?
but that was the kind of scenario that we brought up, much farther back when we were saying, this is a good situation for a Sabres team that's struggling because they have the veteran leadership to help get themselves out of it. Like Stahl's never played for a dominant team. Taylor Hall's never played for a dominant team.
Right.
Like we thought that this was going to be a group of guys that was like, hey, we have an abundance of these players who are really good, who've been on bad teams a lot. So let's put them together and something good should come out of it. But it literally just tanked out. I think part of it is definitely Eric Stahl never really wanted to be here to begin with. That was well known after he was traded. And
Yep.
you know how it is. If you're already walking into a locker room, you've said it, you put it a good way a lot of times. When you walk in there and you're familiar with people and you want a new chance and you want to be a part of something good, it's different with that mindset. But if you walk in there already with 1 foot out, then what are you doing there?
Yeah. You're wasting everybody's time. Even if you have a sit down conversation with the coach or the GM and you explain to them, hey, I didn't really want to come here.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to be here, but I'll play for you and I'll do my best, quote unquote. It was obvious that Eric Stahl didn't want to be here. And his game hasn't even improved at all with the Canadians.
With Canadians,
yeah. I think Eric Stahl is kind of at a stage in his career where he's Stanley Cup or bust.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be anywhere that's not a contender.
Right. And I don't blame him. You're 36 years old. I get, but you still got to work. You're still getting paid to go up and put the stick on the puck, so you got to do your job.
Not just that. You got to put it in the back of the net.
But,
or get some apples with it.
Yeah. Before we dive into the trade, the Taylor Hall trade with Lazar, I do want to say though that not only is the team playing better, it's noticeable what they're doing to be better, which is you can just see that they're more relaxed and that they're actually doing what we talked about, which was dump and run.
Yeah.
They got the speed on the ice now
chase
with the young guys.
Yeah.
So now when the defensemen feel like bringing it up to the blue line and just shooting it in there or something like that, the players are just going after it. And they're going hard. Dylan Cousins is on the board. Tage Thompson is a force right now for the Sabres.
He's finally using his size to his advantage, which is real. Like they've been talking about that the whole time he's been in Buffalo. This guy's a big guy. He needs to learn how to use his size
because he can skate.
Yeah, he can move pretty good. He's got good puck skills.
Yep.
He can skate. He's got a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just learning to use your body the correct way.
Right.
And
he's doing a great job.
He's taken a huge step forward. I don't know if I could say it's Granato, or it's just the situation that's going on, but he has taken leaps and bounds in the last 5 games.
Right.
And has been one of the few bright spots other than Middlestat and Dahlin. Asplund has played very well.
Yeah.
Olofsson seems like he's starting to pick it up again.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I wanted to bring up to you is I feel like the Sabres before with Kruger were a system team.
That's all they were.
And Ralph Kruger just wanted to play his system regardless of what was going on the ice. Like, yeah, the players liked him and thought he was a player's coach, but really it was just his system. And now Granato is giving these guys the free reign to just do what they do.
Yeah.
And you can see the difference in play night
100%.
in and night out. It is insane. It just shows me that you can't bring a system guy in as your next head coach.
Right.
It's got to be a guy that's going to look at the talent that he has. He's going to adjust to what he has, and he's going to use that to his advantage rather than trying to force guys into something that they can't be in.
Right. But
like Dahlin is the perfect example. Since Kruger has left and Granato has been the coach, Dahlin's game has exponentially gone back to normal.
Yeah.
And it's insane because people are like, oh, he's a bust. He's a bust. He was never worth the number 1 overall pick. He's starting to play like it again, and it looks good.
It does. But that's why I'm thinking that's more Don Granato. I know you mentioned just a little while ago that you don't know if it's Don Granato. I can tell you right now, when we were talking about Tage Thompson earlier in the season, the one thing that I remember us both hitting the head on was he gets to the puck, but he just doesn't get the puck to the right spot when he passes it, right? So, like, he was passing it a lot in our zone in the middle of the ice. The other team would intercept
mental mistakes.
It was a lot of mental mistakes. And all of a sudden, Don Granato comes in here, and Tage Thompson's arguably the best forward we have on the team since Don Granado's taken over.
Yeah.
He's not making those mental errors. Dylan Cousins is playing smarter. He was throwing his body everywhere, but now he's checking people a little bit more compacted. He's picking his hits now rather than just throwing his body out there. Because Dylan Cousins is another big guy who can skate. He loves playing on the boards.
I wouldn't call him a big guy.
He plays big.
He plays like
A
Rasmus
defender.
Ristolainen.
Yeah,
I would say.
as a forward.
Yeah.
And Casey Middlestat wasn't shooting the puck with Ralph Kruger. All of a sudden, Don Granado comes in here. Casey Middlestat. It's almost like as soon as he touches the puck in the zone,
I will never.
he's allowed to shoot.
I will never forget Casey Middlestat passing the puck to Jeff Skinner on a 3-on-0.
Yep.
Skinner passes him the puck back. No shot.
No shot.
Yeah.
So
Because it was just it was a bad pass from Skinner.
Yep.
But you have an open opportunity to shoot the puck and you're just passing.
Right. I think Don Granado is a huge impact to this team.
I do too.
And he's definitely made a case for himself since becoming interim head coach.
But is it enough?
Dude, you are winning against the same teams that were beating you 5-0. You are beating them with a younger, less experienced team. That is not just talent. That is a coach who can ground young guys who are not used to the scene. Now, this is something that we saw a lot in Rochester with Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor was doing this with these guys.
Right.
Middlestat was dominant. Before we traded that kid to the Blackhawks, dominant.
Nylander
was dominant down there. Bailey was good down there. Baptiste was good down
But
there.
every time that those guys got pulled up to the NHL, they underperformed.
And then you had Housley and Kruger, who are both systematic defensive coaches. Chris Taylor opened the ice for his playmakers.
That is true.
And that's what Don Granado is doing. He sees, okay, we aren't the biggest team. Everybody knows we're not the biggest team. He's letting these boys play. He knows that they're young. Their legs are still good. Fly around. Get the mentality down where you kind of know where somebody is without even talking to them, seeing them, nothing. Get used to it, because that's going to be our system going forward for the rest of the season. And that's why you're seeing more pucks on net. I know last night when we lost that game 3-2 against the Penguins were all over us, and the experience showed in that game. We couldn't get the puck out of the zone. We were constantly fighting between our zone and the red line, and the Penguins kept intercepting it over and over and over again. It was constant pressure, and that's experience. Those guys know where to be. They who's that defense? Letang, right?
For the Penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Letang and Crosby have been playing together for God knows how long.
And
Malkin and all of them have been playing together. Like, they know each other. Like, they don't have to see you to know where you are. That's how good their feel is for the ice.
Yeah.
And that's what the Sabres are going to turn into if they keep this young group moving in the direction that they're doing.
If they can keep them together.
Exactly. The good thing is they're all young, and they're not going to cost a lot of money. I think Middlestat will probably be the most expensive, because now he's actually putting, progression on the board, and he's showing his GM and his head coach, hey, we're playing these same hardcore teams. Like, we have one of the hardest schedules, and they're going out there and they're putting pucks in the net now.
I agree with you. We can get into that a little bit, like who's coming up. I know Allmark, they decided at the trade deadline not to trade Allmark. They wanted to try to re-sign him. Allmark has came out and said that he wants to test free agency, which is unfortunate. Because Allmark has been playing out of his mind when he's been healthy.
Yes.
He's been the one bright spot through the losing streak, through the struggles that we've had all year long. When he's on the ice, the team exponentially has a better chance to win.
100%.
Yeah. Reinhardt's contract is over at the end of the year. They signed him to a 1-year deal, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy too, Olofsson, I think, is coming up, and Middlestat they signed to a 1-year deal.
Okay.
So Middlestat
needs money.
Yeah, not needs money. He's gonna want money.
He's gonna get it too. He's 22 years old.
I don't know if he's gonna get it, but I think that he is gonna get a more fair contract than would have been expected. He's going to be an everyday guy in the NHL now. After what he's done through this little stretch,
100%.
If he can keep it up, then he'll get paid.
Right.
But you think it's enough, the job that Don Granado has done to hire him as the head coach?
I think based on what I'm seeing on the ice compared to what it was 3 weeks ago, absolutely. But the speed and the way we're 7-3-0 in the last 10 games.
No, not 7-3-0. We're 7. 2 of those losses are in overtime. So I think we're 7-1-2
Okay, 7-1-2.
or something.
We're
like
in
that.
every game. Pittsburgh was all over us last night. Our boys didn't give up like
Maybe
they usually
it
would.
might be 7-2-1. I
But
can't remember.
they didn't give up. How many times when Kruger was here did we see Hall and all of them when they were here just give up? And next thing you know, the score is like 6-1, 5-2. They just give up. Once they would let in the first goal, the game was over. Now we're fighting. Like he is finding a way for a team that knows that they're not going to make the playoffs to continue to battle and fight and put it all out there on the ice. And that's all you can ask from a head coach, in my opinion.
So I don't know if it's enough of a sample size to be like, okay, this guy's our head coach. We're going to sign him to a 3-year deal. We're going to give him $10 million a year, or whatever NHL coaches make. I think it's probably like 2.5.
I'll look up average.
I just don't feel like it's enough because I would like to see him finish out the year, see what other coaches become available. We've heard the name Tortorella from Columbus is going to be available.
Boudreaux.
Who Tortorella already has somewhat of an in with the Sabres because he was the Amerks head coach before he took that Columbus job.
Okay.
So I guess it all depends. I'd really like to see him finish out the year. I'd like this team to finish strong. And if they do, and if they continue to play the way that they play, and I'm all for having this guy as the head coach.
Okay. The average annual salary is actually only $1 million.
Is it really?
Dude, hockey does not make.
Oh, it's partly because of the TV deals.
Yeah.
Like the NFL, the TV deal is outrageous. That's why they can pay all these guys like insane amounts of money.
Mm-hmm. But to go back to what you were saying though, man, I mean, I understand you don't think it's a good sample size, but let's look at the history of the Sabres too. If the Sabres can pick up, if the annual salary is $1 million, if the Sabres can pick up Don Granato for $650K a year,
okay,
Kim and Terry Pagura would be like,
yeah, we'll save money.
Yes, we'll save money. Yeah. He looks promising.
I wonder how much say they have in the next head coach because obviously they have not done well. They brought in Bilesma, they brought in Housley, they brought in Kruger.
Yep,
and
there's another one in between Bilesma and
Housley.
Yeah,
Halsey.
There's another one in there. I forget his name though.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, I think you saw him go cheap with the GM last year. With a GM that has no experience. I love Kevin Adams, but the bottom line is he was inexperienced, and they went with him because he was the cheapest option. They were going through a bunch of turmoil. Mm-hmm. So why not stick with Granato if he has a winning record by the end of this, or if he's even close to 500, you give him a shot.
The thing I like about Don Granato is that he tells it like it is. He doesn't BS you. He says, listen, we got to play better.
Yep.
It starts with me, but these guys, they need to understand that they're getting free reign to do what they want out there on the ice, and they need to start performing.
Absolutely.
He just seems like a straight shooter, which is something that we haven't had in a while.
Right.
It's Housley, obviously Housley just was like these guys, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's a game of hockey, and you know, not every night's your night. That's what he sounded like every press conference.
Yeah.
And then Kruger's like, you know, it just wasn't our night tonight. Is it like the same thing for both guys, but with like a different like tempo? Well, this guy Don Granato, if he screws up, he's like, you know what? Yeah, it's on me.
Yeah.
But tomorrow night we're coming back and we're gonna switch some things up and we're gonna try to win one.
Yep.
I'm sick of losing. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of that. Like he at least like you can see that he cares about what's actually happening.
Yep.
Ralph Kruger, you could tell like the look on his face through like the first 8 losing games, looked like a deer in the headlights. Like, what do I do?
Absolutely.
What do I say?
He didn't know what to do or say.
No.
I'll tell you that right now.
And that was the hardest thing for me was like, how does your coach perform under pressure? I guess is the big thing. Like Don Granato, he felt the pressure right away. He's like, I got to win something.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to show them that like I can do better than the last guy.
Exactly. And I think he has.
I 100% agree with you that he has done an amazing job. He's deserving of the coaching job.
Yep.
But I want to see more first before I put all my eggs into one basket.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll keep analyzing how his production's been in the NHL as the season progresses. Unfortunately, there will not be no playoff appearance, like we stated earlier, from the Sabres. But there's a lot of promising young prospects to look forward to.
Yes.
Especially with some key injuries now for the Sabres. Jack Eichel has been confirmed to be out for the rest of the season with a herniated disc in his neck. He's going to have surgery to get that fixed up. Kyle,
so hold on before you get into that.
Good Lord.
The reason that news broke was because trade deadline day, Monday,
Yeah.
Ralph Kruger was asked, how come we haven't gotten injury updates about Jack Eichel? Or Kevin Adams. I said Ralph Kruger, didn't I?
Yeah.
Kevin Adams was asked why they haven't been getting injury updates about Jack Eichel. He goes, well, the NHL, I mean, you get updates as you get them. And he's like, well, this is your captain. But we get updates about Linus Ullmark every week. We get updates about Dylan Cousins every week when he's out, or every couple days, like where he's at.
Yeah.
How come we don't know anything about where Jack Eichel's at? 2 days later, we get this news that Jack Eichel's out for the rest of the season with a herniated disc.
Yep.
It's because the media asked. That's
Yeah.
the only reason why we know anything about this. And I have a few nitpicks with Kevin Adams now that I don't like.
Jesus. Why? Why? Because he didn't tell you that he was getting. What if they were just getting it analyzed all the time?
He seems like he is. The inexperience is really showing right now.
I don't care. Listen, if Jack Eichel's out, he's out. I don't care why he's out. I just want to know if he's out. And if they say he's out, I don't.
But they don't know he's out. That's the point I'm trying to make. We didn't know if he was going to be out the rest of the year or not because there was no injury update for over a month.
Yeah, but what if
they said that Eichel hadn't played in something like 46 days, and we got one injury update, and that was like at the very beginning.
I mean, maybe they were trying to do some physical therapy to see if he'd come back and whatnot. But I mean, maybe they were fielding offers trade deadline wise. I don't know. I don't personally. That doesn't affect me at all. I think news reporters and stuff like that, they just like to get picky and nosy because that's what they have to write about.
Hey, Strass is in the chat. He says, what up?
What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining us. But as for the injuries, Jack Eichel, like I said, out rest of the season. Kyle Okposo got hit in the face with a puck, broken cheek, out for the rest of the season. Allmark is again week to week, which leads us to the biggest part of this discussion with the Sabres today are re-signing numbers and trade deadline. I'm going to start with the trade of Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar. I am in favor of the trade. Eric is definitely not in favor of the trade. So we're going to dive into that real quick. Like I said, before we get started into it, though.
It's probably not going to be real quick. Just a heads up.
Make sure you leave a comment for Greg for what you're seeing on the screen. He's done a great job for us here at the Buffalo Binge. We're very happy to have him a part of the squad.
There they are. Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar.
Pop right up there real quick with everything. Give him a wave. And like I said, guys, we wouldn't be able to do this without Greg. He's doing a great job for us. So make sure you keep giving him credit for what you're seeing. So the trade, Taylor Hall, Curtis Lazar. I'm only unhappy because Curtis got traded. He was balling it out for us. He was going hard every play. And he said some words. He was very unhappy about being traded, actually, which is kind of ironic because he played for a crap team in Buffalo. But that being said, here we are. Taylor Hall, gone. Curtis Lazar, gone. And in return, we get a young guy, 24 years old, Anders Bjork, and a second-round pick. Graham, tell me how you feel.
I'm upset.
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah.
Did you cry on a pillow?
I didn't cry on a pillow, but I definitely was like, dude, what are we doing here? So the reason I'm upset is because we are continuing to pay Taylor Hall. We kept a portion of his contract out. I think it was almost 50%, if I'm not mistaken. Greg, if you could pull that up real quick, the exact details of that contract or that trade. I believe we're retaining 50% of Taylor Hall's contract now to play against us. We only got a second round pick, and we got Anders Bjork for Lazar and Hall. And Hall, yeah, he has underperformed this year, but the guy is a former NHL MVP. Lazar has played extremely well this season, which, in my opinion, I would say he has played well for the role that he has played. He's played very well. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, the thing that bothers me the most with this trade is that second round pick is not a conditional first round pick. If it was a conditional first round pick, I'm all for it. If you ended up just trading Taylor Hall, no questions asked, without retaining any of his contract, this trade's a great trade. If you end up keeping Lazar and trading Taylor Hall and retaining half his contract for Anders Bjork and a second round pick, that's a great trade. I just feel like he didn't get enough return on what he was giving out. And tons and tons and tons of hockey analysts agree with what I'm saying. I understand that you are okay with this trade.
I am going to explain why I'm okay with this trade, but
Okay.
I'm gonna let you get your
Hold
wind
on.
out first. Bud.
So, yeah, I'm just upset because I feel like they didn't get enough. The Bruins immediately got better through this trade. Bjork wasn't really doing anything. He was a guy that could barely break the lineup night in and night out. They give you a second round pick for Hall, and Taylor Hall has the potential to score goals every night. He's, like I said, former NHL MVP. He didn't play well with the Sabres, but that could be a system thing. That could he obviously he was scratched for most of the time that Granato has really taken over. So we don't even know what he could have done under Granato. But yeah, Taylor Hall just he makes that team better. And we didn't really get much better from this trade. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand.
And it's not hard to just be like, okay, well, listen, if you guys win the Stanley Cup, can you make this like a first round pick? Because that way I feel a little better about this little conditional first round pick. That way I don't feel like you guys are killing me on it. Instead, you're getting a second round pick, which is basically a third round pick if they win the Stanley Cup.
Greg, did you get a chance to pop up the logistics of that trade for him?
Yep. So what you said was right. The Sabres will retain 50% of Hall's remaining salary.
Okay.
That's a lot of money.
All right. I mean, are you done pleading your case? Because I'm ready to go dive in, son. I'm ready to go.
So you understand what I'm saying?
I understand
right?
what you're saying. I understand
if
that
we
you're
would
not
have
happy.
No, if we would have been able to have them take all of his money, or if we kept Lazar, or if we got a first round pick, those are the things that would have made this trade a good trade.
Okay.
That's it. You can say your piece
are
now.
you good now?
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
here we
ready to
go.
argue
This
you
is
because I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yep. So this is what I am going to say. For all of you people out there who think you're good at trading and everything else and understand the NHL world, you're sadly mistaken if you are upset with this trade. And I will tell you why. Yes, I know on paper it does not look good, which to every hockey analyst that Graham's talking about, it doesn't look good. But here's the stipulations behind it. Taylor Hall had a trade clause, which he was allowed to tell the Sabres what teams he was willing to play for. And guess what? The only team he said he wanted to play for
Supposedly
was the Boston Bruins. So
he said he wanted to go to a contender,
which was only the Boston Bruins.
I guess they were fielding offers from the Capitals and the Rangers, and he refused those.
He refused them.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Taylor Hall had the dice in his hand, and he was rolling sevens the whole time. He was in control of this whole entire thing. So a lot of you out there can be like, oh, well, we should have got a first. We should have got a conditional. We should have got this. We should have got that. Shouldn't have had to trade this. You're wrong, because you signed Taylor Hall for 1 year at $8 million, okay? Half the league already cannot afford Taylor Hall. So there goes half your contenders, okay? The teams that are right up against the salary cap can't afford Taylor Hall. So when it came to contenders, the Bruins had to make a deal where the Sabres retain that salary 50%. So you're paying $4 million for Taylor Hall to go play somewhere else. You probably got $4 million worth of Taylor Hall in Buffalo for your time anyway, because he wasn't playing as an $8 million player.
He wasn't playing as a $4 million player.
Okay, even better. So
no, so it's bad.
So anyway, if he controls that and he's telling the Sabres, I'm only going to contender, and that contender is going to be the Boston Bruins, you then have to call the Bruins, and you are not in control of that. You can't tell the Bruins, I want a first, because if they say no, and Taylor Hall said he wants to play for a contender, and the only contender that can afford him is the Bruins, you have to start dealing with the Bruins for whatever you can get.
So that's not how this went down, though.
How do you know?
Because Kevin Adams said it in his press conference. He said, yeah, I was kind of handcuffed to where I could only choose a couple teams, but he was talking to every team in the NHL about Taylor Hall.
That's what
he called everybody. So really, this is what happened.
I'm telling you what happened.
No, he called around. Taylor Hall was like, I'm not going to Washington. I'm not going to New York. And then he goes, well, I got Boston. All right. I'm talking to Boston. Oh, I'll go to Boston.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting
is there any other teams that you're thinking about? Not Boston.
That's what I said.
But he was already like in talks with Boston. He didn't choose Boston. You understand what I'm saying?
Kevin Adams didn't choose Boston. He was only given Boston by Taylor Hall.
No, he was talking to Boston before he approached Taylor Hall about Boston.
Okay, so what?
So Taylor Hall then said, yeah, I'll go to Boston, but I don't want to go anywhere else now.
Okay.
So now you're limited to Boston. But
that's what I just said.
Yes, but you're saying it in the wrong order, so it makes it sound like Taylor Hall was like, you know what? No, Boston it is. It's only Boston.
You're basically saying the same thing.
No, but
opposite.
I'm saying that there
You're
was.
like, oh yeah, Taylor Hall just said, I'll go to Boston.
I'm saying that Boston had an offer on the table for Taylor Hall, right?
Listen,
Kevin Adams was considering to accept the offer. He brought it to Taylor Hall. He said, yes, I'll go to Boston, but only Boston. So he could, then he was limited. Then he was stuck. He's like, okay, I got to take.
that's what I'm saying.
But
Tell me what I didn't just say.
how hard is it to just say, listen, if it works out for you guys, you win the Stanley Cup.
They don't
give
want
me a first round pick
because they can say no to that.
Yes, they
because
can.
they're the
but
only team that
dude,
you can
it
take.
happens all the time.
All right, you're not,
look at Evander Kane. We got
Bro,
a first round pick for
because
Evander
the
Kane.
Sharks thought that he was conditionally worth a first round pick.
And he was. They re-signed him.
Okay, good. They did.
It could be
The
the same
thing
thing
is-
for Taylor
No,
Hall.
the thing is that the
How
Bruins.
do you know? He didn't even ask.
Because the Bruins would have. Trust me, you don't think.
No, Kevin Adams didn't even ask. I promise. I
You
know because
promise-
he said it in the press
You listen
conference.
to this?
He said it in the press
You said
conference.
he said, I never asked for a first round pick.
He said, I never asked for a conditional pick.
Because maybe the original offer he asked for was a first round pick, and they said we are not dealing our first round pick at all.
How hard is it to just be like, listen, if this works out for you guys, let's make it a first rounder?
Because
That makes it a conditional pick.
You got to look at it from more than just the Sabres' perspective, Graham, and that's where you're getting stuck with this because the Bruins are renting a player for $4 million. They are renting Taylor Hall, who has had the worst season in his entire career.
Yep.
He has done absolutely nothing to even deserve a second round pick, in my opinion. And you just had an episode, not even 3 episodes ago,
I agree
where
with
you
on
said that stats mean everything.
I agree.
And
with
now
you.
we have a
That
player that we traded who was garbage in stats, and you're complaining about what we got in return when
Because-
he's not even worth the stats. that we traded
because
for. So
in my opinion, Andrews York is not
I let you
the
talk.
same caliber player
Listen.
of Taylor Hall.
I let you get your stuff out. I didn't say where. I didn't interrupt.
Okay.
This is my turn.
Okay.
So anyway,
Okay.
if you are only dealing with one team that your player is allowing you to go to, you are very limited to what you can get in return. And I promise you, they are very lucky to get a second round pick for Taylor Hall.
I agree with you.
There are
on
other
that.
teams that probably would have given a first round pick with more cap, but they weren't contenders, and Taylor Hall probably didn't want to go there.
I agree with
So,
you on that also.
Plus sides to this trade. You get a second round pick for a player who's underperforming. Yes, he went to the Bruins and he's already put in 2 goals. Whatever. They have a way better team. And at the end of the day, Anders Bjork has more points than Taylor Hall since joining the Sabres with 3 points to 2. You can argue that however you want. But at the end of the day, when Kevin Adams is going around team to team asking about Taylor Hall, and he takes all these teams to Taylor Hall, and Taylor says, I only want to go to Boston, you can't demand Boston give you a conditional anything. They can say no, and then what? You're going to pay an $8 million player to play like a $2 million player and get nothing for him at the end of the year because
No,
it's not going to
that's
resign for
a
you?
trade isn't going to fall
Like-
apart because you say, hey, can we make this a conditional first round pick?
And then I'm saying if they say no to that,
Then you
Kevin
take your
Adams then
second.
takes the second,
Yeah.
which he got.
Well,
How
but-
do you know that wasn't
Because he said he never asked for it to be conditional in the press
I'm
conference.
saying what if
He said he
asked-
didn't even think about it.
He probably asked for the first to begin with. And
No.
He said we are not giving you a first anything at all, Graham. That's what I'm trying to tell
And that's
you.
fine. But why can't you just have the conversation? This is where the mistake is on the GM. He never even brought it up in a conversation. This when the media asked him about it, he goes, "Oh, well, we thought it was fair for both sides, and so we did it this way. I hadn't even considered asking for it to be a conditional first round pick. Because it should be. This is why it should be. Because if it pans out for the Bruins, he ends up putting in, let's say, another 10 goals by the end of the season, and the Bruins win the Stanley Cup, you got fucking fleeced on the deal. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say it like that. You got screwed on the deal. 100%. Taylor Hall automatically, the guy could have put in 12 to 15 goals by the end of the year. What happens if he ends up being the
That's a lot of what ifs.
Listen. Yeah, that's why you make it conditional. That is why you make it conditional.
Okay.
It's for the what ifs.
But you have a player who you signed for a bunch of what ifs and got none of the what ifs,
And
and
you-
the rest of the league saw he had no what ifs.
Right.
So I'm personally, as the Bruins, not trading you a first round pick or giving you a conditional first round pick.
if I'm retaining half that contract, I want to be like, listen, I'm paying this guy to play against me now.
In my opinion,
Can we just make it conditional? Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. You don't understand what I'm saying.
I do.
understand what you're saying.
I
You
understand
keep telling
that
me, why didn't we have the conversation? Why didn't we have the conversation? Because the conversation could have started, hey, we're not giving you a first anything for Taylor Hall to begin with. Right there.
Okay.
So then he's probably like, okay, well, if they're not going to give me a first for anything, well, let's start with the second round pick. what youngsters do you have that you would return to me and whatnot? Anders Bjork was a very, very good athlete coming into the NHL. He played for the USA 17U team, which is the best players in the nation. Don Granato has coached this kid with Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel and Anders Bjork played together, and Anders Bjork actually had more points for that team than Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, and I forget the other kid's name, but there was 3 powerhouse guys in there. He had more points than all of them. Now, you go to a Bruins squad that's loaded in the front end with a bunch of veterans who've been playing together forever. That's why Anders Bjork wasn't finding the ice.
Right.
You bring Taylor Hall in, he's a proven veteran. He's taking over a guy like DeBrusque and people who are like younger, who are like Bjork. He's just playing in their spot until those younger guys develop, because he's like you said, a past MVP who's had a down year. But you can't base Taylor Hall's value off of his past anymore, because the present is showing you garbage. Like, he's literally been garbage. And honestly, I don't even care that he scored 2 goals for the Bruins, because I feel like that they just have a much more offensive philosophy that allows his game to be played in there. But at the end of the day, we have gotten more points from Anders Bjork than we've had from Taylor Hall.
But it's been less than a week since we made the trade.
But you're using 2 goals and a pastime of Taylor Hall to justify why we got a second, when I'm telling you we've already gotten more in return for somebody. I understand that you're looking at like he's a former MVP, but like at the end of the day, you're still over here saying, well, we're paying all these players for shitty stats, and then we get a trade where like a second round pick literally doesn't even justify what Taylor Hall has done.
Because this second round pick could end up being basically a third round pick. If the Bruins end up winning the Stanley Cup, it's basically a third round pick. So this is the part that I agree with you on. Okay. Taylor Hall is not worth anything at the trade deadline, basically. If you're looking at it from this year. But the reason that it should be conditional is what happens if he just blows up going to Boston. Starts putting up crazy numbers because he's playing with a better team. He's making that team better, and you're paying him to play against you. And then they go win a Stanley Cup. And what did you get for it? Yeah. A second round pick for a guy that is at that point worth a first round pick.
At that point.
Yes.
But
that's why I'm saying it's conditional.
But the Bruins,
so you still get your second round pick. And I understand that you're saying at the deadline you're going to lose this guy at the end of the year regardless.
Exactly.
You get what you can get for him. I totally 100% agree with that.
The same with the Bruins.
But the reason that I'm saying I'm upset with this is because why couldn't you have the conversation of, hey, listen, man, if this really works out for you guys, let's make it a first round pick at the end of the year. And if not, it stays a second round pick and it is what it is.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you is you keep saying that. And I'm saying, what if the Bruins started it off by saying we're not touching first anything? No conditionals, no first round picks. Like because you don't know if that was set.
Because a second and a first at that point, it's only fair if you win. You make it on the condition that they win the Stanley Cup. That's it. Period. Any team will be like, oh yeah, we'll give you a first for that. Whatever.
Not
trading a player for a first, yeah.
Not the Bruins. Apparently,
no, because they didn't even have that conversation. That's what I'm saying.
I know you keep saying that.
The GM never had that conversation, but any team would trade a first-round pick for a Stanley Cup in a heartbeat. It's every team,
if
regardless of any year.
If the Bruins are looking at it from a statistical standpoint, you're renting a player. Right. You're not going to give up a first-round pick for a player who might actually be deteriorating in his career.
Right, but if you win the Stanley, that's why I'm saying you've only put it on that one condition.
But what if? All right. I'm done with the what ifs because
that's the point of it being conditional.
And I'm just saying, what if the Bruins in the very beginning said, I am not giving you a first round condition, I'm not giving you a first round anything? What if that was literally the first statement the Bruins made? Because you're sitting there saying, well, Kevin Adams never had that conversation where they talked about it, but he also didn't tell you what the rest of the conversation was.
It was, we're giving you Taylor Hall, we're retaining half the contract, we're giving you Curtis Lazar, and we're getting back Anders Bjork in a second round pick.
You think that's exactly how it went?
Yeah.
I hope we get Kevin
Actually,
Adams on the phone.
This is what happened is
Graham knows everything.
No, because he said, he goes, yeah, the Bruins were very interested in Curtis Lazar. We didn't really want to give him up, but in order to get the deal done, we had to. That's what he said. So Curtis Lazar was never even really a part of the conversation until the Bruins pulled it up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want 2 guys and you're trading a second round pick and a guy that's barely breaking the ice for you, you're winning that trade.
He has already done better than Curtis.
I understand, but if we're doing hindsight, right? Taylor Hall's an every night guy, regardless of his stat line. Taylor Hall's an every night guy, correct?
Yeah.
Curtis Lazar, plug and play.
Yes.
Anders Bjork,
Every night guy.
for the Sabres, not for every team in the NHL. This guy has barely broken the ice for Boston, unproven.
I bet you this guy could
listen.
start for half the league.
Okay, half the league is fair because half the league sucks. Half the league does not make the playoffs. That's fair.
I would say even 3/4 of the league.
But you wouldn't know that until after he came to Buffalo because he didn't break the lineup every night. He's not a guy that's breaking lineups with the talent that's at Boston.
That's a good freaking lineup.
So yeah, but you're taking a chance on a guy and you're trading two guys that are proven. I know one is definitely proven. The other one is yeah, he'll do some good stuff for you. Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, he'll do some good stuff for you. But you're taking a chance on a guy with two proven guys and a second round pick.
I'm not gonna lie. I think with the situation, Kevin Adams got the most he's gonna get from the Bruins. Personally,
I agree, but
And-
I'm saying that the conversation should have been had about a conditional first.
okay.
Do you agree with that? That the conversation should have been had about? Listen, if you pull up, if you guys win it all, can I have your first round pick?
I know you keep saying that.
Yeah, if that's the only condition.
You're literally hanging on to one sentence Kevin Adams said where he said we didn't even talk about the
Yeah,
condition.
because it should.
Because what if the Bruins just flat out said you're not getting a first anything for Taylor Hall?
That's a what if too. I'm saying why can't you just say, hey man,
Then they
you
say
guys
no.
win it all?
And then they say no, and you get a second round pick.
So then you didn't lose anything.
That's what I mean.
But I'm saying,
what if they cut that conversation?
I'm saying why
before it even had
why
to be
didn't
played?
why didn't you at least attempt it with a guy like Taylor Hall? Because what if Taylor Hall now puts up 20 points before the end of the year?
Well, then he did, and he
And-
wasn't
and then
going
we
to do
get
it
a
for the Sabres.
But then
And then you paid him $8 million for nothing.
exactly, and you didn't get anything for him.
But now you pay $4 million and you get a player and a second round pick for a guy.
for a guy that goes and puts up 20 points for another team.
As much as I
So
like,
you're basic. No. This is what I'm saying is you're losing on that trade if he puts up 20 points for this team.
dude, that team is 10 times better than the
It doesn't
Sabres.
matter. Anders Bjork ain't putting up 20 points the rest of the season.
How do you know? He
Because
got
he's
3
not
points in
gonna.
3 games.
He's not gonna.
Graham, you are seeing
I'm
futures.
saying-
You are talking in GM rooms. I want to know the ghost that you got in there, man,
This
because
is
you are
what-
everywhere. right
I'm
now.
just wondering
Jesus.
why you don't think that a conditional first round pick is fair for Taylor
I
Hall.
didn't say it wasn't fair. I'm telling you, what if the you keep saying Kevin Adams said I didn't ask for a conditional first round pick because I'm saying what you're Kevin Adams, you call me. You say, hey, Taylor Hall, you want him? Yeah, but you're not getting a first anything from the start.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
And you keep saying, well, why didn't he ask him what? Because the
Because
Bruins
it's-
literally could have said,
Because it's
I don't want a first. We're not giving up a first anything for Taylor Hall.
because it's conditional.
And if
Oh,
they're on,
so let's have this conversation then. Okay, you're the Bruins. I'm Kevin Adams. Ready? Call me up. No first for
I'm
anything.
not the Bruins. You're Kevin Adams. I'm the Bruins.
That's what I just said.
So you call me.
Okay. Hey, Bruins GM. What do you think about Taylor Hall?
I like him, but I'm not giving you a first anything.
Okay. Well, how about Taylor Hall for Anders Bjork and a second round pick?
Sure. But I like Curtis Lazar. We need a fourth line center.
Okay. Well, in that case, I want a first round pick if you're taking Curtis Lazar too.
No.
Well, see,
Oh, yeah.
That's
then
not-
you get nothing.
but
for Taylor
here's
Hall.
the thing: you didn't even ask for me to retain the 50% of his contract.
I don't.
That's a big part of this deal.
Bro,
Whether it is or whether you think so or it isn't, that's a big part of this deal.
I get that. Okay.
Just
Taylor
hey,
Hall
real
needed
quick.
To be moved. We were not going
Right.
to. We were not going to.
But did Lazar need to be moved with him?
If you need to trade Taylor Hall and the team's only going to take Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar to the only team that Taylor Hall is willing to play for, then yes, you trade Curtis Lazar.
But they also needed us to take 50% of his contract.
okay.
But
So-
it's,
Because they're
hey,
probably
This
hey,
is
hey,
this
hey,
is why-
hey.
this- but this is why I'm saying it's not fair for the Sabres.
Huh?
This is why I'm saying it's not fair for the Sabres.
What are you saying, Greg?
I wanted to say, you guys keep saying 50% of his salary. It's 50% of his remaining salary. So there's 12
Okay,
games left.
that's-
They're paying him 6 games. They're not getting $4 million off the books.
Is there only 12
So there
games
you
left
go.
in the season?
So there you go.
Or sorry,
It's a great trade.
It's not a great trade.
It's a great trade.
No, it's not.
You have to trade.
You got
Taylor
what you,
Hall.
Yes, I understand that, but it's not a great trade.
no, if any, that works in
it's-
Graham's favor because you didn't unload a full $4 million. You only unloaded like maybe what? I did the math real quick. Maybe like $800,000.
Yeah.
The Bruins
But
are
I'm still
only
saying
paying
it's
him
not a great
$800,000.
trade, it's a good trade.
Oh.
It's a good trade in that aspect. This is the problem that I have with Kevin Adams is that the conversation should have been had like, hey, if you guys win it all, can we make it a first-round pick? We're retaining some of his contract. We're giving you Lazar. We're giving you Hall on for basically nothing right now. Because Anders Bjork, you have to admit, when they made that trade, was a guy that they didn't know about. They didn't know.
Granado knows about.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't know what he could do in the NHL because he hasn't broken the ice time for the Bruins.
I mean, he's played
the
24
Bruins didn't,
games.
but the Bruins didn't care about Anders Bjork as a prospect. The second round pick is nothing to them.
Dude,
No. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand.
The Bruins are giving away this piece, and it's minimal compared to what they're getting in return.
You are saying what they're getting in return when Taylor Hall has literally been trash all year, dude.
So he's
That's-
already played.
that's what
He's
you're
already
getting in
he's
return.
already he's already scored as many goals for the Bruins in less games than he did for the Sabres all year.
And Anders Bjork has scored more points for the Sabres than he scored for the Bruins all year.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have known that at the trade deadline for what Anders Bjork is.
Okay, but we wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying.
We know that now.
We know that
now.
Yeah, we know that now. But I'm
And-
saying at the time of the trade deadline, you're trading Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar for basically nothing.
Dude, Taylor Hall was worth nothing. You literally said that in this show.
Yes, but Taylor Hall has the potential to be better than what he has been. You also said that the Bruins are a much better team, which also will improve his stats, and that the Sabres suck.
And Anders Bjork, nobody knows about, could be better than what everybody else thought with
Right.
more ice time that he's going to get in Buffalo. Like, dude, like you just keep going back to the first round condition, and you can't. You.
I'm
keep
just saying that
rephrasing-
the
like,
conversation should have been had.
it
because-
probably was, and he probably
No,
just
he
made
said
very
it wasn't. When the reporter even asked him about the conditional first round pick, he looked confused.
I'm just saying, if the Bruins, we just did the fake call. If the Bruins said that right off the bat, you just said, oh, you didn't even know what to say because I said as the Bruins no, and you just hung up the phone.
Oh, because you didn't
But
go
if
with
Taylor
what the
Hall
trade
is
was.
only going to go to the Bruins, and the Bruins literally have the cards. The Bruins hold all the cards at that point. Kevin Adams has to make a deal for Taylor Hall, regardless of anything.
Right.
You need to get something for Taylor Hall. And if he's only willing to go to Boston, you need to get whatever Boston is willing to give you. So if that was what they were willing to give you, and you have to give up Curtis Lazar, who unfortunately nobody thinks he was going to be a superstar in Buffalo.
No, I wasn't
Probably
saying he was going to
wasn't
be a superstar, but he was
a fan favorite.
He's worth a third round
But
pick.
you know what? He's gone.
Curtis
And
Lazar.
he was never a long-term
Curtis Lazar
option.
on his own is worth a third round pick.
He was never.
If you could get a third round pick for Brandon Montour, you could get a third round pick for Curtis Lazar.
No.
Oh yeah.
No. I think with what was being dealt to Kevin Adams, like all year has been, which is a short stack of cards, he did the best he could do. And already in the return, the player he's retained has more points than Taylor Hall. He's playing much better with the players on the Sabres than Taylor Hall ever did. And we get a second round pick who could probably draft the fourth round center we just traded. In Curtis Lazar.
But
our second round pick.
So here's the thing too, is that second round picks traditionally do not do well in the NHL.
Okay.
Or never really make it.
Things can change.
Yes, things could change.
Because there are plenty of
and
second round picks.
But that's a lot of what ifs. And
Braden
like
Point.
I said, the what ifs are what's going to kill this trade.
Well, I think Kevin Adams did just fine. And this is why we love doing this show. Because we don't always agree here. Like, I've known this guy since I was like 8 years old. So I will literally fight this kid on live.
Yeah. Strats wants to know what we think the Sabres need to do to be a Stanley Cup contender in the future.
What we think they need to do. One, they need to get a coach who understands how to talk to his players when things aren't going well. That would be my first start. What would be your second start?
Not making dumb trades.
Well, this isn't a dumb trade.
Well, no. I'm talking about the over the last 10 years, the Sabres have made horrible trades.
Yep.
Horrible trades. Ryan O'Reilly, Evander Kane, even Zach Bogosian. Zach Bogosian went off and won a Stanley Cup last year after being traded.
Take a page out of the Bills, man. start going after cap-friendly guys who just need a chance.
I think they tried doing that with Eric Stahl.
Eric Stahl's 37. I mean, get some younger guys. Get like the 26, 27-year-old guys who haven't really had the chance to show their full skill set in the systems that they've been playing in for a little less than the guys who are top of the line. I mean, that's what the Bills did when they transformed their roster. I don't really know how much hockey transitions in that way. I know experience speaks a lot. But if you got a good scheme and the right guys in that scheme, then it's going to work out. So, right, let's get better contracts. Let's get guys who maybe have game experience but haven't been able to solidify a role on another team, maybe because the depth is so strong. Yeah, get a guy like Bjork. Start making small moves, and then the big moves will come. Like, it took us 3 years to get Steph Diggs. It took us 3 years to get Emmanuel Sanders. Those were two guys that the Bills were always calling for, but because they made the small moves.
Well, I mean, it took 2 years to get John Brown. Brown they called the year before he went to the Ravens.
But it took a lot of small moves to get to that point where those players were interested in coming here. So all those moves added up. The right contracts, the right players, the right age group, players that fit into the scheme and the system that you're trying to develop and the organization you're trying to develop.
Honestly, so that was your moves?
I would say start there.
My start is definitely starting with it within of what you already have in your development program. You got guys down there in Rochester that are looking good. Don't ruin their development too early by pulling them up too early. Like UPL, they've talked about the fact that he's an every night starter in the AHL right now. They're talking about calling him up now because Allmark's hurt. If you're going to have him just sit there behind Tokarski or whoever is in goal, there's no point in having him up there. You're taking away from his development. Keep him down. Develop your guys within. You have talent at a younger level. Jack Quinn, this guy, Ruotsalainen is up now. He's been playing well. Use your younger talent for a year or 2 years, along with Jack Eichel. Even if you got to struggle for one more year, see what you have first before dealing shit away in a dumb way, like you've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest thing with the Sabres is that they need to keep their draft picks, guys that they've developed, instead of just trading them away and taking all that time to actually develop these guys. And then when they go to another team, they play well.
Yeah.
You're basically a farm organization for the rest of the NHL, and it sucks.
I think you got to get I think you're right with that, because Chris Taylor, that was our biggest disappointment when they let him go, was he was developing all these players who are now taking off, like Thompson and Middlestat, and like we said, Nylander earlier. Yep. Those guys were on fire down there. They played like when
Lawrence Pilot.
I remember I went down to an Amherst game and they won 14-2. Like those guys were
and they had like 10 fights in that game. Yeah, sick.
They were literally just better, like just much better than the team that they were playing. Every team they were playing. I mean, they lost their games, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, you could see the talent difference between the Americans and any other team coming to the building.
Right.
So I agree. Development, better contracts. Let's get some youth in here, because I don't think veterans are going to want to come here right now. And that's kind of the transition we saw with the Bills. They took a lot of chances on some younger guys.
Nobody wants to come to Buffalo right now.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right. So hopefully Jack Quinn. I'm kind of thinking Jack Quinn might get a start in the Sabres once this year.
I don't think so.
With 12 games left?
I
think he might.
I don't think that they have enough moves, because you only have a certain number of moves between the taxi squad and the NHL and the AHL.
No, I don't know.
I don't remember how many it is, but you can't, like, it'd be nice to get all these young guys an opportunity at the NHL for once this year, because obviously you're out.
Right.
I just don't think you can do it without having to place somebody on waivers and kind of screwing yourself.
Yeah. I would like to see UPL up here for at least a game. I want to see what he's got going on.
I think next year,
like you said, if he's going to sit, there's no point in that.
Yeah, I think next year you call up UPL for the permanent sake, especially if you're not able to keep Allmark in free agency next year, which is
well, that's the other thing now that a lot of people are talking about, is that Demko. They're comparing Demko's contract to what they think Linus might get, and Demko is getting 5.5 a year, 5.5 mil, which if Allmark's going to keep getting hurt, I don't think he's going to get the 5.5. I think he'll get like the 4.2, 4.3 area.
I would be
Middlestat. I would be 5 mil.
I could see Middlestat making about 3.
Really? 22 years old?
Yeah.
I think a team's going to be.
It's one of those
prove it deals.
Not prove it deals, but like one of those intermittent contracts. Like, okay, well, like, listen, you've been at the league minimum because you've been up and down, or not the league minimum. You've been at $925,000 a year because you're on a 2-way deal.
Yeah.
We're going to give you the 1-way deal, but we're only going to give you $3.5 million.
Right.
And that's going to be what you're getting for 2 years. Ooh, excuse me. We'll see how these next 2 years go, and who knows? Maybe it turns into 5 to 7.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it could.
That's where I would like to see middle stat, somewhere around 3.5.
Let's just hope they can keep all these young guys. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Reinhardt's going to get paid.
I think he's going to get paid somewhere else, personally. I think Reinhardt's going to go. Unless they somehow figure out a way.
Well, they could have traded Reinhardt at the deadline.
And maybe they weren't getting it. I don't know. I don't know what the deals were. We've already talked. The biggest trade with the Hall and Lazar. If you weren't here for that, make sure you go back and check it out. It's probably the most heated you're going to see that both of us get on this show. It was great, actually. I feel fantastic. Dude, I feel like I just went on a
We got screwed.
And all right. But anyway, the next and last big move I want to talk about before we briefly touch on the Bills, because we aren't going to have too much on the Bills today. But before we move on, Jason Karamanos, a guy that we talked about earlier in this show, has been hired by the Sabres to be assistant GM to Kevin Adams.
I wish they did it before the deadline.
Karamanos comes in here with quite a bit of experience, actually. Greg, what were the 2 teams you said? It was the Penguins, and what was the one before that?
Carolina Hurricanes.
You said the Red Wings.
I think it was Red Wings or Oilers. I think.
Carolina Hurricanes.
I can't hear Greg. Greg, if you're talking, I can't hear you, bud. But Jason Karamanos comes in here with plenty of experience as a GM. He's made quite a bit of trades. I looked over some. Nothing big. Getting Perron back in the day, trading him away to get Hagelin. He's made some moves, and the Penguins have been contenders usually every year, right?
The biggest move that Karmanos has made in relation to the Sabres is that he traded Bilesma to the Sabres as a coach.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know who the GM was.
They traded 2 coaches that year, actually.
Yeah, I don't know who the GM was for that, but that was the dumbest thing that I've ever seen. Who trades for a coach? I understand that when you're struggling.
Hey, Bill Belichick got traded.
That's true.
He got traded to the Jets for a first.
And he got screwed.
Then he got fired. Or no, then he left or something.
No, he quit.
Then he got hired by the Patriots.
He goes, yeah, I'm going to go coach the Patriots.
Yeah. So Jason Karamanos comes in here. Hopefully this offseason that will help out Kevin Adams. Maybe Jason Karamanos has some more intel on some people who they could hire to help in-house. Just to get some fresh minds in there so Kevin can start learning, absorbing what his job is. Everybody, this is like a new kid walking onto the baseball field the first time or skating on skates for the first time. Kevin Adams, he's been around the game. He knows the general idea of the game, but he's never been a GM, so he needs people with plenty of experience around to make the right moves. And Graham can be happier when we make good trades, like trading Taylor Hall for a second-round pick and Anders Bjork and Curtis Lazar, who, isn't ever going to stay in Buffalo. But anyway, I'm right. He's wrong. I'm taking that one to the heart. Anyway.
You're wrong.
So
I wish that they made this move before the trade deadline.
Yes.
Kevin Adams did come out and say in a press conference that he had been in talks with a guy, very serious talks for months now. But with the deadline coming up, that had to take a back seat because obviously you're trying to make moves and trying to figure out what the best thing to do is for the organization. They hired him like 2 days after the deadline, which I think that it's very helpful to have a guy with at least assistant GM experience and hockey vice president experience in the NHL to help this guy out because he's been through his first draft. He's been through his first free agency period, and he's been through his first trade deadline.
Yep.
So he even said in his press conference, he goes, I'm done with the big 3 now. Now I understand a little bit of a taste of what that is. And hopefully we'll get a guy in here to be an assistant GM, and I'll have a little bit of help to kind of break down things, deal with the scouting department. I guess the scouting department is still minimal right now.
Very minimal.
Which is sad because the season's almost over. You're officially out of playoff contention. The only thing that's left to look forward to is the draft.
Right. I think we're gonna have
free agency.
We're gonna have a lot more to talk about Sabres postseason than we will Sabres in season. And
because they're gonna make some.
They're gonna be making a lot of front office moves. The draft's gonna be coming up. There's gonna be a lot of rumors about trades going on before contracts are up. Conditional. Is that how that works? Conditional contracts, right? If a team wants a player, they have to give up X amount of picks or something. It's like a.
What are you talking about? That's for restricted free agents.
Well, that's what I mean. So, like, let's say Reinhardt's a restricted free agent. They put, okay, you need to give us a first round pick if you sign him, right? Is that how that works?
That's based on something to do based on a salary and based on it's like compensation.
Gotcha.
If you wanted
Graham's favorite word,
yeah,
compensation.
you get so much compensation for signing a guy like Reinhardt. The Sabres, they would have the opportunity to match the offer
or give it up,
or give it up, and if they give it up, they get compensated
Gotcha.
a first, a second, or third, whatever it tier it's in.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's now. I don't know if it's this year, but Matthew Barzal is somebody I would go after in free agency. Just throwing that out there as a quick
He's
little
never
thing.
going to be a free agent.
I think he's going to want big money. Dude.
It doesn't matter.
Like
He's
$9 million.
They will give up
the organization.
They won't give up the organization, but they will find a way to clear up that cap space to keep him.
Keep him, yeah.
The only way that you're not keeping Matthew Barzal is if you trade him away
for Jack Eichel.
No, I'm not trading Jack Eichel for Matthew Barzal. Not a chance. No.
We'll see.
So, but here's the other exciting thing that's coming up is that there is an expansion draft this year.
Yeah.
So
Kraken.
You got to figure out who you're going to protect and who you're not going to protect, and I think that we can start getting into that a little bit next week. Now that we know that the Sabres are out of contention and kind of looking at the roster and figuring out who you want to protect and who you want to let go.
Well, I think Skinner's going to be on that list. And I think Oak Post is going to be on that list.
I think so too.
So we'll see. We'll see how that shapes up. I'm just glad.
So, did you see the replay of the Okposo injury, real quick?
I actually didn't.
So Matt Irwin went to dump the puck in, and it went right off the side of his face, and broke his cheek.
Damn.
It was rough looking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say gruesome, but it was rough looking.
Well, you just don't want to. You don't like. It's a very physical sport. At the end of the day, everybody likes seeing fights and people get hit, but you don't want to see anybody actually get hurt.
Okposo's actually played much better.
Much better.
Too.
That's why it was very unfortunate that he got hurt. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
I have been the biggest basher of that dude.
Yes, you have.
And I feel so.
You know what? You have been the most up and down. Like if we were a stock, your stock would be like peaks and like dives every single week. You'd say something different against.
If I'm a stock, buy me next week because I'm gonna be hot and high.
Hot and high, baby.
Let's go.
Graham's buying low, baby.
Yeah.
But
be cracked next week.
We'll see how it goes. We're gonna move on to the Buffalo Bills, but like I said, we will keep you up to date with Jason Caramanos as always. Before we move on, make sure you leave a like for our buddy Greg. Give him a comment. Let him know. Thank you
for
the everything that he is doing for us on this screen that you are watching. Share the podcast. Tell people about us. We're happy that you guys communicate with us and that you're very informative with us and you like talking about stuff. James, thank you for sticking with us for this show today.
Yeah, not to mention everybody that's been posting comments on a lot of the things that we've been trying to talk about throughout the weeks.
Yep.
We had a big one this week. I don't remember what it was, though. It had like 100 people like it and like 7 people. It was if Josh Allen or who the best quarterback was left in the AFC East.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, let's get right into the Buffalo Bills real quick. Like I said, not going to be a very long segment with the Bills. We're going to keep it very short. We'll probably have more of a dive into it next week. But because the hockey talk went on for a little longer than expected, we're just going to keep this short and sweet. All right, Graham?
I mean, I didn't think it went longer than expected.
It did.
I expected
our
it to
fight
go
went a little
time.
longer than expected. We expected a fight. We didn't realize the fight was going to be like that. Anyway,
we'll go till we go.
So, the Buffalo Bills have signed another offensive guard, Forrest Lamp, who was taken 4th. He was the 4th lineman taken in the 2017 draft.
Second round pick, 38th
Second round
overall.
pick, and he was actually picked before the Bills' beloved Deion Snow Dawkins. He was picked before him. So this is another guy, good experience, 24 games. Typical Brandon Beane signing here. Lots of experience. Started a lot of games for San Diego since being in the league.
He started all 16 last year.
And he played for a very similar style quarterback in Justin Herbert. So Herbert, scrambler, big guy, strong arm, rookie of the year. So he's got a good, what do they say there? He's got a good history, track record, good track record, pedigree, sure. Coming into the Buffalo Bills, I think that's a great signing, and he will compete.
He's young.
I think he will compete for a starting role in this line, and that's what the Bills always do.
I think it's an important signing.
I do too. I think it's great. We saw last year as Bills fans how often an offensive lineman can go down.
Yep, and it's good to have that depth. Like I've said the entire time we've been doing podcasts, is that you can never have enough depth on the offensive line.
Right.
Which, unfortunately, a guy you mentioned the last time we were together has retired.
Yeah,
Trey Adams.
Trey Adams. I'm very, it stinks because the guy worked really hard. He was doubted.
Do we know why he retired?
He's just his body.
Okay.
It's his body. It's the physicality that the physical stress he's put his body through. I mean, the guy's blown out both of his knees. He's had multiple injuries.
Yep. You said he got hurt real bad in college. And then dropped his draft stock.
I mean, this guy was going to be a first round pick. Head over heels. Mel Kiper loved this dude. You can go back and even watch those clips on YouTube if you want. You don't have to, but he was a highly touted offensive tackle, and unfortunately, injuries riddled his career, and he decided to retire. I thought that he was going to be competing for the number one swing tackle position this year with Bobby Hart and Jameel Douglas. So it's very unfortunate. That's probably going to be an area where the Sabres either go for a draft pick, the Bills go for a draft pick at offensive tackle, or they might sign another offensive tackle before the draft. We don't know. But yeah, it was, Trey Adams, I've been high on him. I'm a huge, for some reason, I've loved a lot of the undrafted guys.
You like the underdog story. That's what you're all about.
Yeah, I liked Levi Wallace. I still like Cam Lewis, who's my corner that I've been rooting for the past 3 seasons now.
Who was the guy that we had? Cam Phillips, the receiver.
Yes, Cam Phillips,
the one that went to the XFL.
XFL,
and he
tore up.
Popped off. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've always liked those guys, especially the ones who get hurt. And these guys are young, and when you're projected, you're at school one day and you're going to practice, and all of a sudden you read this paper and it's like, oh, I'm projected in the first round. You get one injury, and next thing you know, you're forgotten.
Yeah,
you're sitting on the bench somewhere, and you're not even drafted. You're just feel like it's over. So that's why I root for those guys, because they work hard to get back there. That's why it's real. I'm not disappointed that he decided to retire, because at the end of the day, you got to take care of your body.
Yeah.
You got to do what's right for you. It's just I'm more disappointed because he felt like he couldn't do it after all the hard work that he probably and most definitely put in to remain in NFL status physique, and it was just too much. And unfortunately, he can't show us what he's capable of doing because of those injuries. That's the only reason why I'm disappointed.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it was a guy that seemed like he was really gonna step up coming into this season. I know we brought back basically our entire offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But you were gonna crack the lineup at some point probably this year based on what we lost. I think we lost Brian Winters and who's the other guy we lost?
Shooby-Doo. I know who you're talking about too. I can't think about it. Kyan Secchi.
Yep, that's who it was.
Yep.
So you're a guy that could potentially make the lineup as the swing tackle, as a guy that's maybe plug and play as a guard.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, but this guy Yates, or not Yates. No, Lamp.
Well, there's Lamp, but we do have a Yates, don't we?
I don't think so.
The guy we got from the Eagles.
We picked up 2 Bates.
Yeah.
I thought we traded Ryan Bates.
No, he's there. He's here.
Did we lose Ike Bodker then?
No,
we lost one
he's
of them.
Still here. They're both here. We put Ike Boker up for a one of those contracts where it was a tender contract, and then we signed him. So we still have Bates, Boker, Jameel Douglas, Bobby Hart.
I feel like we don't have Ryan Bates anymore.
We do.
I don't know.
We do.
But this guy Lamp is pretty much going to take Trey Adams' spot as far as preseason roster goes. And honestly, it's a better signing. The guy was a second-round pick, like I said.
Yeah.
38th overall. He went before Deion Dawkins. I don't really know what the story was with him in San Diego and why they just kind of let him walk, and how he managed to be signed so late into free agency, being a former second-round pick. I don't know what the tape is on this guy. I haven't really seen much of him. I just know that he's only played in 25 games.
Yep.
So he's got some experience in 3 years, but really, I think that our offensive line is pretty well set, and this guy's just going to fill out depth.
Yeah, and he might. I don't doubt it, though, that if he might come in here to compete for an offensive guard spot against Feliciano and Ford, and I think he can. Ford still has a lot to prove, and we like Ford. And he's shown us, great glimpses before injuries. I love Ford.
Yes.
And so I think that he's just going to come in here and bring that nice, refreshing type of competition that Brandon Bean looks for.
I think Greg was about to say something.
Go ahead, Greg. No?
Oh, I heard him, and then I don't know. But speaking of Cody Ford,
Yep.
we're both pretty high on him. Do you like him better as a tackler or guard?
I would say guard.
Okay, I agree.
His agility as a tackle to face the guys that they ask people to face in the NFL is ridiculous. I think he's got the Mauler mentality.
So you think he'll be more of that right guard kind of guy this year?
I think Darrell Williams is locked up the right
as tackle.
Yeah.
Who's our left guard? Who's our left guard last year?
Left guard was between Ike Boker, John Feliciano, winners.
Do you think that they'll start Feliciano on the right side or the left side, and Cody Ford will be the opposite?
If you ask me right now who I thought it'd be, I think it'd be Deion Dawkins, John Feliciano, Mitch Morse, Cody Ford, Darrell Williams.
From left to right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of Cody Ford, news broke. And Bills fans, please do not go trashing buildings or anything like that. We are all devastated by the news. The blindside block, quote unquote, against the Houston Texans in the playoff game that literally costed us the game has been reversed.
And they fined Cody Ford for that.
Yeah, they fined Cody Ford.
It hasn't been reversed. They're saying it's not a penalty.
It was a blown call.
Yes.
It was a blown call that literally screwed the game over. Literally was the turning point.
One of two blown calls in that game.
That was the turning point.
No,
call.
The turning point was the not fair catch at the beginning of the second half.
In the end zone.
Yes.
I remember that. But yes.
And the ref even knew. He's like,
yeah, the ref said touchdown.
The guy tossed him the ball.
Yeah.
Without taking a knee, without calling for a fair catch.
Yep.
And he just tossed him the ball, and the ref even he turned away and didn't touch the ball. He knew what was going on.
Yeah.
He knew that there was a touchdown.
Yeah.
And the other refs were like, well, it's not fair. We should he thought he called a fair catch. No. The rules are the rules are the rules are the rules, bro. That's it.
But yeah. So Cody Ford, I'm wondering if the league's gonna pay him. They gotta pay him back. You got to pay.
No, they're never gonna.
You got to pay.
That's the NFL, bro. It's all about the money.
But the officiating crew definitely said it was a blown call, that it was never a penalty, and the Bills probably win that game. I know that's a what if of the century, but they were literally in control of that game until that call, because that call I think brought back a touchdown.
No,
I think that call brought back a touchdown.
No, what happened was when that call happened, we were down. It was either tied or we were up by 3. We didn't score a touchdown, but we were driving to score a touchdown.
Yes.
That call ended up giving us like a 3rd and long, and then we end up punting, and then they come down and score and basically win the game. Yeah.
But it's off the charts. They came out. They at least fessed up to it. We all knew it was legal. Everybody at the time knew it was legal. And
the NFL should.
I'm just glad that they came out and fessed up to it.
Honestly, they should pay Cody Ford his money back.
That's what I'm saying.
They should. I agree with you on that. It's if you're gonna fine a guy for something that was clearly a blown call.
Yeah.
Now it's in videos.
Yep.
The teaching points for the upcoming season for the refs. Okay, this is a clean hit. This is not a clean hit.
Yep.
This is a penalty. This isn't a penalty. Like all these kinds of things that they do every year when they change the rules for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You give examples of things that are clean and not clean.
Right.
And Cody Ford's hit was one of these examples in the video of a clean hit.
Yes.
They never actually came out and said that it was a clean hit or it wasn't a clean hit.
Right.
And the NFL has made no press about it, but it has been, I guess, not released, but found out by Bills fans in particular that this particular play is in that video.
Right.
That's where the big hubbub is.
Good. And it
is now you find a guy for something that is clearly a clean hit.
Yeah.
You've explained that it's a clean hit, but you haven't come out and said that it's a clean hit.
Right.
So
not saying the Bills,
it's a little shady.
Not saying the Bills would have won the Super Bowl that year, but that was definitely a big game, and it would have taken us further into the playoffs. And
I'm not even saying it would have won us the game. I'm saying it would have given us a better chance to win.
Yeah, we had ball control and everything. But hey, past is past. The future is now, and we have some updated news on the future of the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres. Erie County has said you can go to these games this year, but you just have to be vaccinated, and then that was retracted by Andrew Cuomo.
It wasn't it was retracted by Erie County because Andrew Cuomo came out and said, "Hey, that kind of sounds a little illegal."
Yeah.
Which it is, and it's BS.
Yeah.
You can't force people to get vaccinated to return to normal life.
Right.
I feel like I know that it's probably going to end up happening that way.
Yeah.
Because the world is just so screwed up right now.
Yep.
There's all kinds of misleading information about COVID.
Yep.
I don't know everything. I've been told by tons of different people because I had COVID.
Mhm.
I've been told by different people that I don't need to be vaccinated. I've been told that I need to wait 3 months to be vaccinated. I was told that I don't need to be vaccinated at all
Right.
because I've already had it.
Right.
I've also been told that I need to get it as soon as possible. So
Right.
I don't know what to believe. Because I'm not going to call the doctor and ask what the deal is.
Right.
Because that's just the person I am. I don't really give a shit.
I just like that, you know, a little bit of normal is coming back. And although you might need a vaccination to get in there, you know, it's just a good thing to see that teams and the states are trying to get back to normal, allowing people back in these games. Because I'll tell you what, man, if the Bills had fans last year,
Well, they
it
did
would have
through
been
the playoffs.
I'm just saying like a full crowd at home against the Ravens. That when Taron Johnson intercepted that ball, that you would have heard that stadium 18 counties over.
Yeah.
You would have it probably would have set a freaking record.
But
for
there were
loudest stadium.
there were people in the stands. I guess
I just like the fact that they're willing to work towards full capacity.
But so you would be okay with them instituting a law basically that says you can't return to normal life without a vaccination?
I'm not saying I'd be okay with that. I'm just saying I'm glad that there are at least discussions of teams and the government allowing maximum capacity.
Well, it doesn't sound
in
like
the
the team wasn't really involved in any of this.
Well, no,
it was the Erie County official that said, "Hey, we're going to allow full capacity at Bills games, and Sabres games if everyone is vaccinated."
And you know what? If it ends up coming out like that, like I don't make the laws, I don't make the rules. I can only do what I can do and control what I can control. I like I said, I'm just saying, like, I like the fact that that's even in talks, that those words even came out of his mouth to say we will have full capacity, because the city of Buffalo deserves that. Every city that has sports or anything going on deserves that. We've been battling this for over a year now, and anything remotely close to normality is what we deserve as a society. And sports are a huge part of bringing people back together.
Yep.
And I firmly believe that. So I don't care what the regulations are right now. I don't make those calls. I do just care that the fact that society is going to be able to be around their sports, because society's better when they're around sports. I'm not saying sports cure everything, but sports help. Sports are an outlet for people, and it allows you to be around your community.
They're a distraction.
Yeah, it allows you to be around your community and get to know your neighbor a little better, regardless of if you're drunk or not. It's a great experience. I advise anybody to go check out Bill Stadium on a game day. It's incredible.
Highmark Stadium.
Highmark Stadium. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just pumped that the words came out. Personally, I could give a damn about everything else right now, because it's nothing set in stone. I just like that the sentence was said.
Yeah, I guess I'm upset about it, because you're now forcing people to be vaccinated to attend something. Which, like, I don't think that's very fair, because, like, you got season ticket holders paying for tickets, right, in advance.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you make this law that says, hey, you have to be vaccinated. I've already spent my money on tickets.
Mm-hmm.
You can't force me to go get a vaccination.
Yeah.
If you're going to force me to go get a vaccination, then why
go?
Yeah.
Don't go then. I mean, I get it. I
guess the thing is a lot of this COVID thing has become political, and it's been political since day one, but a lot of even like the misinformation is political.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, because you're being told one thing, and then you're being told another thing, and then you don't really know who to believe, because it's spun in a certain way,
right,
to where it sounds so scary and so dangerous. And you know what? I had COVID. It sucked. It really did. I was really sick. I felt like I was going to die for like 2 days of it, but I didn't. I'm still alive. I just don't think that. I think it's made to be a bigger deal than it needs to be. I understand that it has killed a lot of people. I understand that it's a horrible thing that people die, but at some point you need to make a decision as a government, as even an organization, on what you're going to do as far as either protecting people or getting us through whatever is left of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it unfolds. I'm curious to see what happens here, because, like I said, that was the Erie County officials who said that you need to be vaccinated. If that goes through, I don't know. Cuomo did come out already and say we're going to probably talk about that a little bit, but we'll keep you updated here on the show as that progresses. Because like I said, I would love to see full capacity at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. And
Would you get vaccinated
people back
if
in
that
the
was
park.
if that was the rule?
I don't know. I don't know if I would. I haven't even thought about it. So there's a lot of time to think about. What you would have to do to attend these games because we don't even know the logistics of it yet. But honestly, I think that's it for me for the bench today, man. I think that's all I really want to talk about. How about you?
I feel like we're missing something.
For the Bills?
Yeah.
I don't know. Greg, are we missing anything on your board?
Nothing on my board. You guys are good to go.
All right, cool. I think we're good to go, man.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Make sure you send a like our way and subscribe on all of our streaming services. Greg has done a great job here with what you're seeing on your screen. We appreciate everybody who's tagged along up to this point. If you were here the whole time, thank you. If not, thanks for stopping in, and we are glad to have you. Always leave your questions and comments. Got anything for him there, Graham?
Yeah. Hey guys, if you could share the podcast, don't just like it, share it. Get the word out. We're trying to get as much interaction with you guys as possible every week that we do it. We love to have conversations. We really appreciate James chiming in and asking us a couple things. We love that kind of portion of our episodes. So if you guys can share the podcast, get it out there, bring in your friends. Let's have a conversation as a community and as a group about the Bills, about the Sabres, about anything. You guys can ask us anything about our personal lives. We don't care. We just want to be able to interact with you guys more often, and we love it. So
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you for everybody that did tune in today. Thank you, Greg, for all the hard work you do for us week in and week out. It's been awesome.